Hi guys. So I just wanted to make a video to talk about the simulation that we're going to be using this week and how to use it. So let me start by sharing my screen with you. Okay, so here's the PowerPoint for this week of May 11th. So remember, the driving question that we're trying to answer with this simulation is how do changes in the amount of plants in an ecosystem influence herbivore population growth over time? So the first thing you're going to need to do on slide 7 is read the introduction. Quickly, what it is saying is that rabbits are herbivores in an ecosystem and they get their energy from eating plants. In this specific ecosystem that we're looking at, there's two types of plants, grass and weeds. And so rabbits need to eat to get energy to be able to reproduce. So what we're going to look at in the simulation is if we change the amount of plants a rabbit has access to, how is that going to change how many rabbits are being born? If there are more plants in an ecosystem, can rabbits reproduce more? Or if there are less plants in an ecosystem, can rabbits reproduce more? So that's what we're going to test today. So on slide 8, you're going to click on the rabbits grass weed simulation and it will open. Let me refresh the page. And this is what it will look like once it loads. All right. So there are a bunch of different setups here. I suggest when you click setup, starting somewhere around 250 rabbits, because that's right in the middle. So the birth threshold is this number right here is from 0 to 20. 0 means the rabbits need no energy to give birth. 20 means they need all of the energy to give birth. So I'm just going to put that somewhere in the middle because we're not really testing about the energy. Next, we have the grass growth rate. I'm going to put that right in the middle. It can also go from 0 to 20. I'm going to keep the grass energy at 5, and I'm going to move the weed energy to 5, just so they're the same, they're constant, we're not changing them. And I'm also going to put the weed growth at 10. So 10 is right in the middle, they're growing. So once you answer the pre-lab questions, read the getting started. The getting started pretty much just tells you what these sliders mean and how you're going to use them. So remember, we're only testing how the number, which is controlled by the growth rate, the number of plants controls the rabbit count, how many rabbits are being born. So we really don't have to worry about the amount of energy and the birth threshold, okay? This graph down here is where you're going to find your data information. So at time 0, the number of weeds is also 0. At time 0, the amount of grass is 6.5. So once you go through and identify your independent and dependent variables, you're going to tell me a little bit about how you think we should collect our data about the plants and the rabbits. Do you think we'll need to make any calculations, find any averages? You are going to see a data table on slide 14. So first we need to find our control or baseline data. So remember at the start, which is 0, I just said that there was 0 weeds and 6.5 grass. And we are starting with 254 rabbits. 254. So what's nice about this is it keeps track of time for you on the bottom. So I'm just going to press go and let it go until we reach 150. We're going to count in intervals of All right, that should be good. Yeah. All right, so at 0, oh wait, we did 0. Okay, so at 50, the amount of grass is 20.5. Grass, 20.5. The amount of weeds at 50, weeds, where are you? Is 18.5. And the amount of rabbits, come on, at 50 is 336. So we went up. All right, so now we look at 100. At 100, my grass is 21.75. And my weeds at 100, oh, I just had it. We'll put it at about 20 because it's right in the middle. And the rabbits, I think you guys are getting the picture. The rabbits at 100. This is frustrating. It's about 320. All right, so you're going to count for 150. I'm actually going to insert a row below. And you're going to put your averages here once you calculate them. So the average amount of rabbits, the average amount of weeds, the average amount of grass. Next, we are going to go back and click setup. So our data went back to how we started. So you are going to first change the weed growth rate. Everything is going to stay exactly the same except for the weed growth rate. You can decide whether you're going to change it to 20 or to 0. Okay? And then you're going to record this data here. I'm also going to add insert below an average, just in case you want to compare those. Pull that up. And then you're going to once again click setup, put everything back to normal, and then you are going to change the grass rate. You can decide if you want to change it from 0 or to 20. And I will add insert, row below. You'll find the averages, just in case you need to compare them. All right, so then you'll have your data. If you decided to increase the amount of weeds, you're going to tell me increasing the amount of weeds increases the amount of rabbits, or decreasing the amount of grass and increasing the amount of weeds does something to the rabbits. So remember, your claim should be one sentence, not using the word because, answering the driving question. How do changes in the amount of plants in an ecosystem influence herbivore population growth over time? So how does changing the amount of weeds or grass change the amount of rabbits in a population over time? Okay, so you are going to put your one sentence claim on slide 17. You are going to use at least 2 pieces of evidence on this slide here that proves your claim. And then you're going to use reasoning in a paragraph form to explain how your evidence proves your claim. For your evidence, if you wanted to, you could use, here, I'll just click go. If you wanted to use this graph in your PowerPoint, you can use the snipping tool like we did last week. Create a new snip. take a nice picture of it. Control V or paste, and it shows up right there. So you can use that as a part of your evidence as long as you explain it in your reasoning how it supports your claim. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the simulation. Remember, when you're doing an experiment or simulation, only change one thing at a time. So we're either changing the grass rate, grow rate, or the weed grow rate. We're not changing the energy, we're not changing the birth threshold, and we're not changing the number we'd start with. We're only changing how much the grass grows or how much the weed grows to see how that affects our population of rabbits. Okay, so make sure you email me if you have any questions. And yeah, that's it.